The Dutch system gave marriages between enslaved peoples official status. In November 1642, Maria and Antony Fernando Portuguese, the father of her child, formally married formally married in the Dutch Reformed Church. Antony had already survived a dangerous brush with the law. Over the next 7 years, they had five more children and embarked on a long struggle for freedom and security for their family. So, marriages between enslaved people under the Dutch system gave them official status. So, official status, what that kind of is that they officially recognize that these two people are married and it's recorded down in the government. And this is a step towards freedom because this is actually they're being recognized by their government. Um, it's not saying like you're a slave and you have no rights. We don't even recognize you as people. Having a marriage here gave them official status. So now under Dutch system, they were at least recognized as two married peoples. Some enslaved people achieved legal standing in Dutch courts. They could own property, work for wages, and sue when they were not paid. In fact, legal records show that Maria's husband had once sued for damages that a merchant's dog had done to his pig. Access to the legal system became an important tool for African people in obtaining and defending their freedom. So, this highlights a case where Maria's husband had his pig injured by a merchant's dog. And he went to court for it and sued for damages. And he won. He won damages. He won some payment for the damage that the merchant's dog did to his pig. By winning that court case, some enslaved people they're gaining more freedom here. They're they've defended their case and they're getting money in this case to them. So by getting that officially recognized, they are now stepping closer to getting more and more freedom that they can actually get this done, that they can own property, work for wages, and sue when they're not getting paid. If you were just treated as a slave with no rights, this would never happen. So the fact that her husband was able to go to court, sue the person, and get money for it, now they're getting steps closer and closer to being getting all the rights that a free person would have. Some Afro-Dutch people had already encountered Christianity in Africa, and many joined the Dutch Reformed Church in New Amsterdam in hopes of gaining freedom for themselves or their children. Maria van Angola was an active church member for at least 41 years and acted as a witness for many baptisms. So these people, Afro-Dutch, so they were Afro-Dutch, meaning they were from Africa, but now they're living in New Netherlands, New Amsterdam, which is a Dutch colony. So they would have been Afro-Dutch. Similar to how today in America, the term African American is defined as your family originates from Africa, but you're an American today, and you could change that with anything, with um, British American or Ecuadorian American, Mexican American, any one of those terms. It's just that first term shows where you came from, and the first term usually shows where you are right now. So it's saying these people had already encountered the religion of Christianity back in Africa, and they were using this in hopes of gaining freedom for themselves or their children. So in general, the religion of Christianity does preach equality and salvation or saving under the eyes of God. So there was equality under the eyes of God. So they were hoping that by becoming part of this religion, that they would help to gain their freedom in the eyes of the government. In 1643, as the colony was at war with the Mohawk Nation, the company emancipated 11 people. Each received a small plot of land, about 5 to 10 acres north of the wall on today's Wall Street, where they could act as a buffer against native incursions. These Africans were half free, meaning that they were still expected to pay fees to the company and their children would not be legally free. So 1643, at this time, New Netherland was at war with the Native American or Indian nation of the Mohawks. And the colony had a plan to defend their territory. So they, if we recall from the earlier paragraph, they built a wall on the northern side, which would later become Wall Street. So that was the defensive measure. They had another plan where they emancipated 11 people and they gave them land just outside of the North Wall. And their intention was that these people would live here and they would act as buffer or protection, meaning if the Mohawk Nation were to attack New Netherland, they would have to attack these 11 people first before they reached the wall to attack the colony. So their plan of freeing these people wasn't out of goodwill or they were being nice, but it was out of they wanted to concoct a plan where that this would protect the colony. However, they did get freed, so that was a step in the right direction. But there were some constrictions here. They were considered half free, meaning they still had to pay fees, money to the company, and while they were free, their children would not be free. Owning land meant more than a farm. It was a key to status as a freeholder with political rights. Listed among the original owners of small farms was a woman called Miracle, who may have been Maria van Angola. Over the next 19 years, 22 more free blacks received small land grants as well, including Maria's husband, Anthony Portuguese, in 1645. So owning land was big. Owning land didn't just mean, oh, you had a house or a farm. Land meant that you had some rights, political rights, rights in participating with the government, including voting and such. Because that's how it worked back then. It didn't matter if you were a slave or not. If you were a free person, if you were a regular Dutch person and you didn't own land, like in many countries, you didn't have a lot of rights. But if you own land, that meant you had more rights. So that's what it was meant to own land. It wasn't just you had a house or anything like that. It meant you had more rights. You were being recognized. The government written down on their ledgers who own this land. So you're getting more and more official status. So this shows just how many people the free blacks received these land grants, and this would kind of push them closer to having freedom or having more rights.